Hercules, the last belated guest at the hospital director Sudarin's silver wedding was the physician Andrei Ivanovich Dudar. He carried a wicker basket tied with a roller bandage and decorated with paper flowers. To the clink of glasses and the discordant murmur of drunk guests, Andrei Ivanovich presented the basket to the anniversary man. Sudarin weighed the basket in his hand. "What's this?" "You'll see." They removed the gauze. At the bottom of the basket lay the large red-feathered rooster. He calmly turned his head, observing the flushed faces of the noisy drunk guests. "Oh, Andrei Ivanovich, how on time!" the gray-haired woman twittered, stroking the rooster. "A wonderful gift!" the dock women were whispering. "And what a handsome one! Isn't this your favorite pet, Andrei Ivanovich, yes?" The hero of the anniversary shook Dudar's hand with feeling.
"Show me, show me!"
A hoarse, thin voice suddenly rang out. The highest respected guest sat in the place of honor at the head of the table. To the host's right, it was Cherpakov, the head of the sanitary department, a longtime Sudarin's friend, who had arrived that morning in his personal Pobeda car from the regional city Magadan, 600 miles away from his friend's silver wedding anniversary. A basket containing a rooster appeared before the dull eyes of the highly respected guest.
"Yes, a fine rooster. Yours, right?"
The honored guest pointed his finger at Andrei Ivanovich. "Now it's mine," the hero of the day announced with a smile. The honored guest was noticeably younger than the bald and gray-haired neurologists, surgeons, therapists, and tuberculosis specialists surrounding him. He was about 40 years old. He had an unhealthy, yellow, bloated face, small gray eyes, and a smart, dandy uniform jacket with the silver shoulder straps of a colonel in the medical service. The jacket was clearly too tight for the colonel, and it was clear it had been soon before his belly had become clearly visible and when his neck hadn't yet fallen over the stand-up collar. The face of the honored guest retained a bored expression, but with each glass of pure alcohol, that was a medical spirit he drank. As a Russian, and especially a northerner, the honored guest didn't use other alcoholic drinks. It became more and more animated, and the guest glanced more and more often at the dock ladies surrounding him, and more often interfered in conversation that always died down at the sounds of his cracked tenor voice. When the soul measure reached the proper degree, the honored guest got up from behind the table, pushing aside some female doctor who hadn't time to move aside herself, rolled up his sleeves, and began to lift the heavy large chairs, grasping the front leg with one hand, now the right, then the left, alternately demonstrating the harmony of his physical development. None of the delighted guests could lift the chairs as many times as the guest of honor did. He moved from chairs to armchairs, and success continued to follow. While others lifted chairs, the guest of honor used his powerful hand to draw the young dock ladies, flushed with joy, toward him, forcing them to touch his tense biceps, which the women did with obvious admiration. After these exercises, the guest of honor, tireless in his inventiveness, moved on to a traditional Russian game. With his hand supported on his elbow, he grabbed his opponent's hand, also in the same position, bringing it down to the table. The gray-haired and bald neurologists and therapists were unable to offer any serious resistance, and only the chief surgeon held out somewhat longer than the others. The guest of honor was looking for new challenges to his Russian might. After apologizing to the ladies, he took off his jacket, which the hostess immediately grabbed and hung over the back of a chair. From the sudden animation on his face, it was clear the guest of honor had come up with something.
"A twist the rams head back, you see. Crack and it's done."
The guest of honor grabbed Andrei Ivanovich by the button.
"And I'll easily rip the head of this gift of yours right while it's still alive,"
he said, admiring the effect he'd created.
"Where's the rooster?"
The rooster was retrieved from the home hen coop, where he had already been let in by a thrifty housewife. In the north, all bosses keep several dozen hens in their apartments. In winter, of course. Whether they are single or married, chicken is a very, very profitable item. The guest of honor walked to the center of the room, holding the rooster in his hands. Andrei Ivanovich's favorite pet lay just as calmly, both legs folded and his head hanging to the side. Andrei Ivanovich had carried it like that for 2 years in his lonely apartment. Powerful fingers grabbed the rooster by the neck. A blush appeared on the honored guest's face through the thick, unclean skin. With a movement like unbending a horseshoe, the honored guest tore the rooster's head off. The rooster's blood spattered his pressed trousers and silk shirt. The ladies, pulling out scented handkerchiefs, rushed to wipe the guests of honor trousers. With cologne, with ammonia, wash it with cold water. But strength! Now that's true Russian power. Crack and it's done, the anniversary man was admiring. They dragged the guest of honor into the bathroom to wash him up. We will dance in a hole, the anniversary man was fussing. Well, that's the Hercules. The gramophone started playing. The needle hissed. Andrei Ivanovich getting up from the table to join the dancing. The guest of honor liked everyone to dance. Stepped on something soft. Bending over, he saw the dead body of a rooster. The headless corpse of his former favorite pet. Andrei Ivanovich straightened up, looked around, and kicked the dead bird further under the table. Then he hurried out of the room. The guest of honor didn't like it when people were late for the dancing.